Hello, my name is Robin, and I will be talking about Oda Nobunaga.
Hey, I'm PJ, and I'll be talking about Toyotomi Hideyoshi.
Hi, I'm Marissa, and I'm going to be talking about Tokugawa Ieyasu.
Before getting into the figures that we will be highlighting, I am going to briefly talk about the Onin War, which will set the stage and a chain of events that made these figures so significant, which started from the late Sengoku period. During the rule of the shogun Ashikaga Yoshimasa, a general civil war broke out which was caused by economic distress and precipitated by a dispute over the shogunal succession. The Onin War was a vital moment in the history of Japan where it saw the collapse of the central authority and the descent of the nation into feudal clan warfare. This is where we first hear the term Gekkokujo, which translates to overthrowing or surpassing one's superior. The city of Kyoto was the most affected city during this period, where the Ashikaga shoguns could not contain the provinces that were overruled by minor clans on semi-independent estates surrounding Kyoto. The ones that rose to power through military campaigns are called Iko-iki, which translate to leagues of one mind or federations of purpose. They are a group or a mob of like-minded peasants that reject both the disdainful emperors and predatory samurai alike, since they blame them for making them the lowest members of society. They became warrior monks by joining forces with powerful Buddhist patriarchs who promise an afterlife of paradise, which is a belief that is tied to Pure Land Buddhism. The nemesis of the Iko-iki was Oda Nobunaga, who was the first of the three Japanese generals who would eventually unify half of the broken nation. On the battlefield, he was merciless, killing anyone, men, women, and child, who was associated with the members of the Iko-iki. This attitude came from the loss of his brothers during battle against them, along with his many years of experience at being at war, which started when he was at the age of 13. One of the strategies that he implemented in order to weaken his opponent was to destroy Buddhist temples and execute influential Buddhist priests that were allied to his rivals. The most infamous example of this was the siege of Mount Hiei near Kyoto in 1571, where his troops surrounded and burned the forest along with many temples, which killed approximately 25,000 people. Nobunaga's forces eventually destroyed the Iko-iki fortress in Osaka, and in his later years he conquered and united half of Japan. This marked the end of Ashikaga shogunate, and Nobunaga ruled as a tyrant from 1568 and 1582 until he was assassinated by one of his own generals during a tea ceremony.
The second of the great unifiers of Japan was Toyotomi Hideyoshi. Hideyoshi was the successor to Nobunaga's mission to unite Japan. He was an effective leader and a sly general who spent most of his life serving under Nobunaga. Very little is known about Hideyoshi's early life. He was born into a peasant family and enlisted as a foot soldier in the militia, serving local lords in his early career. He was said to be a friendly and talkative man, and his nature and appearance reminded some of a monkey, earning him the nickname Saru. He was also known to be a sly negotiator and used those skills while serving Nobunaga to craft alliances and truces with the other lords. Before becoming one of Nobunaga's trusted generals, he joined Nobunaga's army as a young man. It is said he was chosen to be Nobunaga's sandal bearer and demonstrated his skills during the Battle of Okehazama, where Oda forces repelled an invasion from a nearby province. He would serve in Nobunaga's army and continue to be promoted until he was a general. He would be instrumental in the campaign against the Asai and Asakura clans, and after defeating them, was promoted to have his own forces and would lead a campaign against the Mori clan. It was during this campaign at the siege of Takamatsu that Oda Nobunaga was killed by Mitsuhide. Soon after negotiating a truce with the Mori clan, Hideyoshi led his armies to defeat Akechi and get revenge for the death of his old master. After defeating Mitsuhide, Hideyoshi was now the most powerful and influential daimyo. He would be appointed as the imperial regent and adopted by Konoe Sakihisa, a member of the Fujiwara clan, which would give him legitimate power in the government under the emperor. He would then continue to unify Japan and conquer the rest of his enemies, finishing the work of his predecessor, Oda Nobunaga. After unification, he would then take a census of all the people in the lands and audit the farmlands of the lords under his command. His most remembered reform was the disarmament of the general public. Scared of a possible revolt from the peasants, he would take away the weapons from the general public unless they were lords or part of the samurai class. Probably one of his greatest and most visible achievements was the construction of Osaka Castle, which was finished in 1597, a year before his death. With a fully unified Japan, Hideyoshi hoped to use his forces on a conquest of China, which he would lead his forces on 2 campaigns, once in 1592 and a continued struggle in 1598, both of which proved unsuccessful as he was stopped in Korea. Before the end of his second campaign, he would pass away, leaving his infant son as his successor. He dedicated 5 men as a council of elders to rule the lands until his son was old enough. But instead, the next most powerful daimyo would become the next leader of the country.
Tokugawa Ieyasu, son of the lord of the Mikawa province, was born in 1542 amidst the Sengoku period. This was one of the bloodiest periods of Japanese history, during which civil war broke out between various feudal lords, or daimyos, and samurai. At 4 years old, Ieyasu was sent off by his father as a hostage to the Imagawa family in hopes of forming an alliance. However, before he could reach the Imagawa court, he was intercepted by his father's enemies, the Oda family. During the years Ieyasu was held by the Oda family, he was well educated and was later returned to the Imagawa family, where he was trained in the military under their clan leader. In the 1550s, Ieyasu's father died and he became his family's leader, and eventually left the Imagawa clan, although he remained their ally. In 1561, when the Imagawa clan leader was killed, Ieyasu broke off the alliance between them and turned to the Oda family, his previous enemies, and allied with Oda Nobunaga. Over the years, Ieyasu upheld his alliance with Nobunaga, supporting each other through many battles. In 1564, Ieyasu defeated the Iko-Iki in Mikawa province. The Iko-Iki were made up of a group of peasants, monks, priests, and nobles. They opposed the samurai rule, but were quickly defeated in war. In 1571, when attacked by a former ally, Takeda Shingen, Ieyasu experienced one of his worst defeats. 1 year later, in a repeat attack, he asked Nobunaga for help, and Nobunaga himself brought with his own army and fought at his side, bringing victory. In 1582, Ieyasu learned of Oda Nobunaga's assassination by Akechi Mitsuhide and sought revenge. However, upon arriving, future ruler of Japan Toyotomi Hideyoshi had already killed Mitsuhide. In 1590, as Hideyoshi attacked the final independent daimyo in Japan, Hojo Ujimasa, he made an alliance with Ieyasu for his support, and together they forced the Hojo into defeat. Part of Ieyasu's deal with Hideyoshi was to give up his control of 5 provinces, and he moved to the Kanto region with all of his soldiers and vassals. Occupying Edo Castle, Ieyasu brought peace and economic stability to the land. Being relatively isolated from the rest of Japan, he was able to maintain control as the second most powerful daimyo. Upon Hideyoshi's death in 1598, Ieyasu made various alliances and 1 year later took over Osaka Castle, the residence of Hideyoshi's son. This started a division of Japan's daimyo and samurai between the eastern camp supporting Ieyasu and the western camp supporting Ishida Mitsunari, a powerful daimyo. In June 1600, Ieyasu defeated the western camp in the Battle of Sekigahara, one of the biggest battles of Japanese history, leaving him the ruler of Japan. He received the title of shogun in 1603 at 60 years old and proceeded to spend the rest of his years establishing the government. Unfortunately, in 1616, Ieyasu fell ill and died at 73 years of age, but the Tokugawa shogunate went on to rule Japan for over 200 more years.